and I need to do that too. Way too many things on my plate during the day. All right, so let's start out laying down. You can either put your props underneath your knees, or you can put your bolster behind you and sit on the floor and lay back if you want to get a nice chest opener. So up to you, depending on how you're feeling this evening. So do it the other way, actually, lengthwise. And then you can always put a block underneath the head if you feel like you need a little more lift for your head and neck. Good, and arms out to the side, palms rotating to face up. So now legs can be long. You can have your knees bent with your feet on the floor, knees touching, feet wide apart, or you can have your soles of your feet touching and relax your inner thighs open. And I want you to just draw your focus and attention down into your breath as we make that transition between where we came from and where we are in this particular moment in time. And let your focus and attention drop down into your breath, right? Feeling that inhale, creating expansion, and the exhale, creating contraction from the standpoint that it is the belly pushing up against the diaphragm pushing up against the lungs to push that air up and out of the base of the lungs. And while you're dialing into that breath, give yourself that space to take those long, full, deep inhales and long, full, deep exhales. There's so much science around the fact that during the day we tend to shortchange our breath. The biggest side that gets shortchanged is the exhale. And that is the part that's the most important for your central nervous system, for your body, for your stress. And as you continue to relax down into your breath, I want you to just take a couple of breaths and notice if you feel any resistance anywhere in terms of your rib basket, your belly, right? Soft and pliable, expanding with the inhale, contracting with the exhale. Also check in with your upper chest, so that space, the pectoralis across the top of the chest. So think shoulder to collarbone, collarbone to shoulder on the opposite side, nice and open and expansive. That's the part that tends to roll forward as we collapse in during the day. And think about easing more into your breath versus trying to manipulate or force it. And then use that inner connection and just check in with the spaces that feel good to you this evening, as well as those spaces that might be feeling a little tight or a little sticky, might just need a little extra focus or attention from your practice. And the other thing I've been working on for the last week or so is expectations, right? So letting go of expectations about what your practice did look like, could look like, would look like, and embrace where you are in this particular moment in time. Now go ahead and bring your feet to the floor if they aren't already. And we'll roll off to either side, right off of your bolster onto the floor. And take a couple of breaths and just draw your knees in towards your chest. And then go ahead and slowly press yourself all the way back up, and you can move your props off to the side here. All right, take a nice big deep inhale. With an exhale, hinge forward, press your palms up behind you. Nice long spine. Inhale, lifting, coming all the way back up to center. Let's release that left arm down. I want you to think about just reaching directly up and out of the hip and all the way up through your fingertips with an inhale. Take another nice big deep inhale, pausing at the top, and then with your exhale, releasing over towards the left, making sure you're leaving weight back in that right sit bone. And then with an inhale, bring that arm back to center and circle it all the way back behind you. So a big opening for the front of that shoulder and the chest. And then inhale, sweep that arm back up and go ahead and release it down to the floor. And then extend that left arm, reaching tall, up and out of that hip, the ribs, all the way up through the fingertips, and then exhale, releasing over towards the right. And inhale, coming back to center, and circle sweep that arm behind you. And then bring it all the way back up. Now, bring your right hand back up to join your left. Clasp your fingers at the top. Press your palms up towards the ceiling. And think about trying to open your palm up so your thumbs are pointing up towards the ceiling and that your little fingers are too. It's like you're going to press the palms flat to that ceiling. And then just rock from side to side. Not big, just nice and small. And then we come back to center, and on an exhale, round into your spine, your upper spine, press those palms in front. And then inhaling, lifting tall. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Release those arms all the way down. Take your fingertips behind you, press your fingertips on the floor, draw the tips of your shoulders in towards each other. And then you can, if it's okay for your neck and your head, look up towards the ceiling here. And then bring those palms back to your knees. And let's take that inhale, arms up, bend your elbows to shoulder height, bring those elbows into touch. And open. And touch. Now open, and let's just rock from side to side. And then inhale, come back to center, and let's exhale, rotate all the way over to the right. For some reason, this feels like a Thursday. Inhale, come back to center. Maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part. I'm like, it's Monday? I have class tonight. Okay. Then inhale, come back to center. And go ahead and release those arms down to the floor. Let's do this. I want to do a little bit of a somatic shoulder and neck release. So we'll start with that right arm. And I just want you to think about drawing that right shoulder up towards your ear and as high as you can go, and then hold it there. So you're putting that space into contraction. Now you're going to rotate your head over towards that right shoulder and then drop your chin down towards your shoulder. And then inhale, lifting your chin back up. Rotate your head back to center. Relax that shoulder all the way down. Let's do that again. Inhale, lift and hold as high as you can get it. Rotate over to the right. Let that chin drop down. Inhale, lift. Rotate that head back to center. Relax that shoulder down. One last time on this side. Inhale, lift and hold. Rotate that chin to the right. Relax it down towards your shoulder and pause. So you're trying to get as much contraction, right, in that shoulder, in the trapezius. And then inhale, lift your chin. Rotate back to center. Relax that shoulder and just give it a little roll down and back a couple of times. Same thing on the other side, right? So just a nice big deep inhale, lift that left shoulder and hold. Rotate that head over to the left. Drop your chin down. Inhale, lifting your head back to center. Rotate back to center. Relax that shoulder down. And again, inhale, lift and hold. Rotate that head over towards the left. Relax your chin down. Inhale, lifting the chin. Rotate back to center. Exhale, relax that left shoulder down. Last time. Inhale, lift and hold. Rotate. Chin relaxes down. And inhale, lift your head. Rotate back to center. Release that shoulder all the way down, then give it a couple of rolls down and back. Good. All right, give yourself a hug. I want you to think about your nose, your knees, your hips all facing forward. The only thing rotating is just your shoulders into your mid back. So we're hitting right into that thoracic spine where all the ribs connect in. And then as you move through center this next time, swap the opposite arm on the top and do the same thing. So we're trying to get some range of motion in that space that's sticky where all those ribs attach onto the spine. And then come back to center and release. From here, move to your hands and your knees. And to start out with, just make some big circles with your hips. Make them as big as you can. Just let that rotation happen. And then in the opposite direction. And come back to center. All right, let's do some spinal rolls here. And the low back and the tailbone are going to be the one that initiate the motion in both directions. So with an inhale, let your tail lift, your belly drops down, your heart center reaches forward, and then your eyes look forward. So keeping your eyes looking forward, with an exhale, you're going to tuck that tail, round into the low back. You're going to push the floor away as it comes between your shoulder blades, and then let your head drop down. Now keep the head drop down as you inhale, letting the tail lift. Belly drops down, heart center forward, eyes forward. Exhale, tuck the tail. Rounding tall, press the floor away. Now let your head drop down. And again, inhale. Tail lifting, belly drops down, heart center down, eyes forward. Exhaling, tuck the tail, rounding tall, push the floor away. Now let your head drop down. And with an inhale, just come back to a neutral space with your spine. Bring your big toes to touch, knees apart. Draw your hips back for child's pose. Now walk your fingertips over to the right, making sure you leave weight back in that left hip, that left sit bone. With an inhale, bring those fingertips back to center and then walk them over to the opposite side. Same thing, weight heavy back in that right hip. Breathing into that right side of your ribs. And then bring those fingertips back to center. On an inhale, lifting back up to your hands and your knees. Bringing those knees so they're about hip width apart. Tuck your toes under behind you. Think about rotating your inner heels in towards each other and just sit back your hips. We just want to stretch toes, feet, ankles. And then inhale, coming forward. Extend out. We're just going to slowly lower down. Got the tops of your feet resting on the floor. You can bring your palms up underneath your shoulders. With an inhale, we're going to lift to a nice low cobra. So you're pushing down into your legs, your toes, and your arms are really not doing anything. It's your powerful legs that are lifting the upper body, and then slowly releasing down. And inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And remember, while you're doing this, think about drawing your tail down towards your heels. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, lift, low back, nice and long. And exhale, release. Take your right arm long along the floor. Bring that left arm underneath, palm facing down, and just nestle your head like in the crook of your elbow here. And then inhale, lift, and take that left arm long, and take that right arm underneath. And then inhale, come back to center. Now take your arms out to the side. Bend your right knee. Pick up that right knee and hip and roll open. So think about pressing back through your heel. You want that hip to roll open. The foot doesn't need to touch the floor. Come back to center. Same thing on the other side. Bend your left knee. Pick up that hip, roll open. Press out through that heel just to give you a little bit more sense of direction with that leg. And then come back to center. All right, now this time you can do the same thing, or you can pick up that leg. You can reach back with your right hand and grab a hold of the top of your foot or your ankle. Push your foot into your hand for a little bit deeper stretch along the top of the thigh. Hip flexor, opener for that left shoulder. And then release as we roll back to center. Same thing on the other side. Right arm extending, rolling open, grab a hold of that ankle or that foot, or you can do it without. Just push that thigh open. And release. Coming back to center. Now, slide your elbows under your shoulders, your palms out in front. Your chest is lifting up off the floor. You're pressing down into the forearms so that your shoulders are not hugging up towards your ears. Think about your tail long, dropping down towards your heels. And then slowly lower back down. Bring those palms back under your shoulders. And with an exhale, press up to your hands and your knees. Let's see. Let's work into some rocking lunges for the hips here. Start with your right foot in front. We're just going to play around a little bit. So take a short stride. So you've kind of got your heel directly underneath your knee, maybe even a little further behind it. And I just want you to think about lifting the heel up off the floor and lower it back down. And lift and lower and lift. And make sure you're pressing into the big toe side of the foot. And release. And one more time. Good. Now take that heel and extend that leg in front. You don't have to have the knee straight. You can keep it a little bit of bend if you need to. And we're just going to sit back into the sit bones. We're not moving back, just hinging forward and sit. And then lift. And again, hinge forward and sit bones back. And lift. And one more time. And lift. Now, bend that knee and give yourself a little bit bigger stride this time and do that rocking forward and back. So you can have your hands on your thigh, you can have your hands on the floor, whichever one feels better to you. Now come forward and hold. And for this one, I want you to let your knee go as far as feels comfortable for you. Make sure you're pressing down into the heels so we get that good stretch. Heel, ankle, soleus. And then pressing up, walk your foot over towards the left-hand side of your mat. And same thing, we're just going to do a little bit of rocking lunges. We're just changing the angle of where that is hitting your hip and your thigh. Now come forward again and pause. And coming back. Walk that foot back over to the right. Now we're going to actually take that leg right out to the side. So think about your knee and hip in alignment. And take your hands down to the floor. And I want you to just think about we're coming forward and back. And you can sit those sit bones back wherever feels comfortable for you. Now that left foot, you can have it resting on top of the floor, or you can tuck your toes under, up to you. Last one, hold right here. And then lifting up, coming all the way back to center, bring that right knee down to join the left. Step your left foot forward. And again, we're going to start with that short stride. So we can work with that foot, toe, and ankle dexterity just by lifting that heel, pressing down into the big toe mound and lower. And lift. And lower. And lift. And lower. And lift and hold. Releasing that foot down, we're going to take that leg forward. So heel on the floor, knee can be as bent as you need it to be. And it's just a sit back and lift and back and lift and back and lift. Last one, let's just do one short hold here. I don't like to do those long holds for the hamstrings, but and then inhale, lift. Slide that foot back so that it's a little bit bigger stride for you, and then rocking forward and back. Now we're going to come forward and hold, knee moving out towards your toes as long as that's okay for you, pressing that heel down into the floor. And then lifting up, walk that foot over towards the right-hand side of your mat. And same thing here, just with that different angle with that rock happening forward and back. I thought we were all done with the cottonwood trees blowing stuff all over, and I went for my walk today and they were everywhere again. And then come forward and hold. And then lifting up, walk that foot all the way over to the left and then take it out so that your knee is in line with your hip as much as possible. Fingertips to the floor, back foot, either toes tucked under or top of the foot. And we're just going to rock back and forward. Last one, hold. And then lifting up, coming back to center, bring that left knee back to join the right. Let's see. Well, let's do this before we move on, just for a little more rotation. Take your right hand behind your head. As you inhale, lift that elbow open. As you exhale, rotate the elbow in towards the opposite side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, lift. Exhale, rotate. Good. Now bring that right palm to the floor and do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, lift. And exhale, rotate. Last time, inhale, lift. And rotate. And come back to center. All right. From here, let's do this. Rotate sideways. So you got your right leg in front. We're going to step that right foot out to, like, think of this as a warrior two. So similar to what we just did with the rocking motion, but we're going to pretend we're doing a low warrior two here. So arms out to the side. And then tuck your toes under behind you. And on an exhale, sit back into your sit bones as you bring your arms in front. And as you inhale, lift, sweep right arm in front, left arm over the top. So you're moving towards your right knee. There you go. I'm opposite you, so. And then inhale, come back to center. As my mother would say, do as I say, not as I do. Sit back, sit bones wide, arms in front, which I swore I'd never use that. And then one more time, sweep right arm in front, left arm over the top. And inhale, come back to center. Good. All right. So now we're just going to bring that right knee to the floor and lift the left foot. Same thing. Inhale, arms long, tuck those toes under behind you. Exhaling, sit back, arms in front. Inhale, lift. Exhale, left arm in front, right arm over the top. Inhale, center. And exhale, sit back. And lift. And last time. And sweep. Good. From here, bring both knees to the floor as you rotate back to the top part of your mat. Tuck your toes under behind you. And on an exhale, rock your hips up to a down dog. So let your feet be wherever they need to be for you to be able to bend your knees, roll through as much of your foot as possible. Now, the heel doesn't have to touch. If it does, great, but I just want you to be able to roll through as you bend one knee at a time. Roll that foot, sink into your hip. There you go, good. With your next exhale, let both heels come down to touch the floor. Let the inner thighs rotate in towards each other. So I want you to just check in with what's going on with your body. So for a lot of people, especially those that have some extra mobility in their upper body, they tend to hang out in their shoulders. So I want you to think about letting your hip bones reach up towards the ceiling. And then bring your upper body forward just a little bit to engage the shoulder muscles so that they're helping your shoulders engage and you're not just hanging in your joints. Especially important for women as we age, because not only do we lose lean muscle mass, but it also affects our ligaments and the joints. So we want to just make sure we're using all those muscles to help support everything. Good. Take a nice big deep inhale. Bend your knees like you're going to leapfrog forward, and then you can tippy toe forward. Come to a bent knee forward fold. Now, if you need to, use your block. Right? So we've got knees bent, feet a little wider than hip distance apart. And this is some work for the hamstrings. So we are going to bend the knees and then lengthen, and not straightening all the way. Bend the knees and lengthen. I want you to think about hinging forward from your hips with your spine long. Bend your knees, lengthen. Bend, lengthen, bend, lengthen. Last time, bend. And this time when we lengthen, we're going to hold. Now your legs do not need to be straight. I want you to think about your belly draping forward onto your thighs. Your spine is long. We make sure your head and your neck are relaxed. Right, so we want to keep that head and neck in line with the spine, even though we're hinging forward. Good, take one more breath. And then on an inhale, bend your knees. With an exhale, slowly rolling up, using that exhale to support your spine as you come all the way up, inhaling, arms up. Let's step that right foot over behind the left, weight onto that right foot. Take a hold of that right wrist with your left hand and just bring it across. Breathe into those right ribs. Now, bend your left knee as you release your wrist. Transition weight back onto that left foot. Take your right knee and lift it up to hip height if you can. Now take your arms up overhead. Bring that knee back to facing forward. Press out through the heel in front. We're going to sweep that leg all the way through and move behind to a warrior three, taking your arms wherever works for you. So they can be out to the side, back next to your body, straight out in front, which is the longest lever. And if you're struggling with your balance, I want you to think about a little bend in the knee of that standing leg can help you level out your pelvis. And then imagine you're going to put the whole sole of the foot on the wall behind you. So you're sending the energy out. Good. Go ahead and release that foot. Come back to a nice tall mountain pose. Take a nice big deep inhale. Step that left foot over behind the right. Transition your weight onto that left foot. Take a hold of that left wrist with the right hand and bring it across the body. Bending that right knee as you transition, release that wrist. Take that knee out to the side to start. Bring it to face forward. Press out through the heel. Sweep that leg all the way through to your warrior three. And again, a firm flex of the ankle, leg as straight as you can get it. Press that sole of the foot to the wall behind you. Little bend in your standing knee. Good. And then slowly bring that left foot back to join the right. Nice tall mountain pose. All right, so from here, take your feet as wide apart as your mat is. We're going to drop down into a half squat, tap the elbows to the knees, sit bones wide. As we press up on an exhale, press through the soles of the feet, squeeze your inner thighs, and then squeeze your glutes. Now we're going to transition weight over to that right leg as you lift your left heel. Come back to center and do the same thing. Take an inhale. As you exhale, press through the soles of the feet, squeeze the inner thighs, squeeze the glutes, and lift. And come back. And lift. Now this time, if you want, you can lift that foot up and off the floor. Come back to that squat. Lift. And center. And lift. And center. Last time, both sides. Last time. Now come back to that half squat. Let those toes rotate open. You can stay in a half squat or you can drop down into a full squat if you'd like to. If you want to do that sumo rock from side to side, go right ahead. And then come back to center. Relax your sit bones down. Let your heart center rotate up, palms soft in the center. So think about gently pressing out with your elbows as you gently press in with your knees. And on an exhale, lifting tall, extending arms up, bring your feet back so they're about hip width apart, and release those arms all the way down. All right, step your right foot forward, your left foot back. Nice lunge for that front knee. Give yourself some width. So step your right foot all the way over to the right. So you've got plenty of room for your hips and your pelvis to be supported. Reach the left arm forward, right arm back as you hinge out over that thigh. As we inhale, lift up, let that left foot swivel, and then move into a warrior two. And you can adjust your feet. Now, lengthen that right foot or right leg and lift your toes up off the floor, and then bend the knee, bring the toes back down. And lengthen and lift, toes back down. Bring your forearm to your thigh. Reach that left arm all the way up towards the sky. Now take that arm, wrap it around your low back. Now release that hand. Bring both sets of toes to face forward. Bring both elbows to your thighs. Sit bones wide behind you. And I want you to just take your fingertips to the floor and gently rock from side to side. And come back to center. Bend both knees. And then lengthen those legs. And then bend your knees, walk your toes and heels in a little closer together. Now we are going to rotate to face the back of the room. So rotate your right toes around, pick up that left heel, spin those toes around, and step that left foot forward into a forward fold. Knees can be as bent as you need them to be. On an inhale, bend your knees nice and deep. On an exhale, use your belly, rolling all the way up to top, arms up. Step your right foot back. Now we're moving into that warrior one spot here, right? So you've got width between the heels. And then we're just going to spin that left foot down as we come into warrior two on the left side. Now lengthen that leg and lift the toes and release the toes down as you bend the knee. And lengthen and lift and toes down. Last time, lengthen and lift, toes down. Now inhale, arm long, forearm to your thigh. Extend that right arm straight up. Take that arm, wrap it around your low back. Nice open chest. Now from here, unwind. Bring the toes to face forward. Take your feet as wide apart as you need them. Once again, knees bent, fingertips to the floor. And again, that rock from side to side, lengthening one leg at a time. And come back to center. Walk your fingertips behind you between your legs. And then bring your palms back in front. Now we're going to keep the hips back over the heels. We're going to take those arms and extend them long in front. And as you inhale, shift your weight forward. Shoulders come out over the wrists. As you exhale, press back into your sit bones. Inhale forward. Exhale back. And again, inhale forward. Exhale back and pause. Now walk your hands back in. Take your left hand and reach it over to your right hip. Take your right arm, reach it long in front, and you can look underneath your right arm. And then extend that left palm. And do the same thing with the right. Right hand over to the left hip. Let your head rotate to look underneath that left arm. And then bring that palm back to the floor. Walk your toes and heels back in so they're about hip width apart. Walk your fingertips back in a little closer. And then come down to one knee and then the other. Good. All right, so I want to work with a chest opener. There's a lot of different ways that you can work with this. Here's one. You can take your fists or your fingers and push down along each one of your SI joints here and release back like this. Now, option 2 is tuck those toes under, and you can take your blocks back so that they're on either side of your feet and you want to think about pressing your hips forward versus pulling backwards and draw the tips of those shoulders in. Full expression of the pose would be hands to your heels. And again, still working to try and push hips forward, heart center nice and open. One more breath. And then go ahead and come all the way back up. And we're going to come from this space. Let the tops of your feet rest back on the floor. Take your hands to the floor. Take your big toes to touch, knees apart, hips back for child's pose. So part of the work for your spine is to make sure we're moving it in both directions just to keep it limber. Your spine lengthen out every night when you sleep, and it compresses during the day. As we get older, the difference between compression and lengthening, unfortunately, gets a little smaller. So the more we can move that spine in both directions, the more suppleness that you'll build for that and the muscles to support it. And then inhale, pressing up to your hands and your knees. All right, come to a seated space. Take your bolster off onto the right-hand side of your mat, or blankets if you're working at home. So we're going to come to sit on your right hip, and I bend my left leg in, and then I kind of pick up my right toes and put it on my left ankle. Now, this will determine how far you rotate it, is how big of the rotation you'll have. So you want to be able to rest, and the inclination is to help yourself out with your right hand. I want you to take that right hand and release it behind you so that you can come and lay on that bolster and have the bolster do all of the support work. And as you take a few breaths, check in with your left outer hip and thigh. Make sure you're not clenching, gripping, or holding. And then go ahead and slowly use your hands to help push yourself up. And we'll move over to the opposite side and do the same thing. And go ahead and slowly press yourself up again. And I'm going to do a neck and shoulder release, so we'll use the blanket for that. Make sure you've got it folded in half so all the fringe is at the bottom, and then fold it in half again so all the fringe is still at the bottom. And then we'll roll from the short folded edge, but probably only about a little over halfway. What we're looking for is a roll that's big enough to support the back of your neck, but not so big that the back of your head can't lay back on the blanket behind you. So we want to be able to release all of that space where the neck muscles are and make sure they have support, and chin releasing up. So you might have to lay back and then adjust it a little bit. And for this one, you definitely want to have your knees bent and take your feet wide apart so that we make sure we are protecting the low back while we do this. And you can take your arms out to the side and let your palms rotate to face up. And just let your head get heavy behind you, right? Back of the head resting on the floor. You can open and close your jaw a couple of times, especially if you're a clincher, gripper, grinder. Now, take your palms and lift them up and put the heels of your palms on your forehead with your fingertips reaching back towards the crown. And I don't want you to think that you need to push. We're just resting them there for a little extra weight. That's it, right? No force, no pressure. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. Eyes are releasing down deep into the socket. And then release your hands, and we're going to take that right hand and bend your elbow out to the side and slide your palm underneath your low back. But here's what I want you to think about. You're only sliding that palm as far under as you can keep your whole shoulder blade on the floor behind you and the head of your shoulder moving down away from your ear. So if it's jacking up your shoulder, pull your hand out a little bit further so that you can get to that space where it is relaxed and releasing down. Tap back into those nice full deep inhales and exhales. Now go ahead and slide that hand out from underneath and do the same thing with the opposite side. And this side's going to be different than the other one, so find how it works for this side. Making sure that whole shoulder blade is on the floor, the head of the shoulder down from the ear. Now go ahead and slide that Left hand out. I'm going to have you roll over onto your left side. Roll up your blanket a little bit so you can rest your head on that roll. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Now very slowly moving up to a seated space. Take a nice big deep inhale. With an exhale, rotate over to the right. Inhale, rotate back to center. And exhale, rotate over to the left. Inhale, center. Bringing your palms down to meet at your heart. Take a nice big deep inhale. And as you exhale, relax your head forward. Release your chin down towards your chest. May you move off of your mat and into the rest of your day with ease and grace. And may the light in me reach out and touch the light in you. Thank you for joining me. All right, go home and sleep well. You're welcome.
Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.